Hey everybody, and welcome to another video tutorial brought to you by Brusheezy. I'm Eric Wallace, and today I'm going to show you how to download and install Photoshop patterns. First, make your way over to Brusheezy.com and then click on the Patterns tab. And we're going to scroll down to the most recently added patterns to the site. If you remember back to our tutorial on installing and downloading Photoshop brushes, you'll remember that you can use these filter options to actually go through and find specific patterns that you're looking for based on category, Photoshop version, and some other sort by features. However, for this tutorial, we're just going to use one of the patterns featured here on the most recently added section. So we're going to click on this pattern set here. Photoshop Patterns Pack 2. Again, we're going to click the Preview button just to get a look at all the patterns included in this set. That looks like quite a few options for us. I'm going to close that. I'm going to go ahead and download this Patterns Pack. The next step is to unzip the downloaded file. If you're using the Mac, just go over to your Downloads folder and double-click on the file that downloaded, and that will automatically unzip it. Inside the folder, you'll see the PAT file. That's the file that stores all the patterns. If you're using Windows, simply navigate to the downloaded file and right-click and choose Extract All. That'll open the extraction wizard. Just click Next until all the files are extracted. It's worth mentioning that there are several ways to install Photoshop patterns right into Photoshop. You could just double-click on the pattern file, or you can add the patterns right from inside Photoshop. However, I believe the method we're going to use offers the most flexibility and allows us to enable and disable patterns and copy the pattern sets to various computers. The next step is to move the PAT file into the Adobe Photoshop Patterns Preset folder. On the Mac, that folder is located in your Applications folder on your hard drive, in the Photoshop folder, in the Presets folder, and then you'll find the Patterns folder. And again, all we're going to do is simply drag our pattern set, the PAT file, into the Patterns folder. If you're using Windows, this folder is located on your hard drive under Program Files, in the Adobe folder, in the Photoshop folder, in the Presets folder, and then scroll down to the Patterns folder. Again, we're just going to drag our pattern file, our PAT file, into the Pattern Presets folder. Over in Photoshop now, the way we're going to activate the patterns is very similar to the way we activated brushes when we installed those. First, we're going to click on the Paint Bucket tool. Now, yours might show the Gradient tool, but you can click on that and change that to the Paint Bucket tool. You'll notice at the top it's preset for the foreground color, which means it's going to fill the layer with this particular color here on the foreground. However, we can change that to Pattern in this menu here, and then use our Pattern Preset drop-down menu to look at the patterns we have installed. Remember this right arrow again? We're going to click on that, and we're going to see all the available patterns we have. And look, there's the pattern that we just installed into the Presets folder. So I'm going to click on that pattern and choose Append. And that's going to add those patterns to our preset menu. So I can choose one of the patterns, hit Enter, and fill the layer with the particular pattern. Now, there are many different ways to take advantage of the patterns in Photoshop. The Paint Bucket is not your only option. I just want to quickly demonstrate two other ways you can use patterns. First, you can use an adjustment layer. Simply click on the adjustment layer icon and choose Pattern. That will create a new layer that's automatically filled with whatever pattern you choose. The nice thing about this, you can go back and change the pattern at any time. Another option is to fill the elements of a layer with a particular pattern. To demonstrate this, we'll just use some text on the screen. And I'm going to use the Layer menu and go to Layer Style and fill it with a pattern overlay. And you'll see we can choose the pattern that we like from our preset menu, and that will actually fill the text with our pattern. Of course, we can still use the scale adjustment to scale down the size of the pattern to make it larger or smaller. You can really get some cool effects by blowing up patterns, kind of give it a gradient or a kind of brushed look. So there you have it. Now you know how to download and install Photoshop patterns. I'm Eric Wallace, and until next time, take it easy.